Chosen one, God is furious right now. Not at the world, not at your enemies. He is furious because of what you are about to do with your own mouth. You are standing on the edge of the greatest shift of your entire life, and you do not even realize that the words you are preparing to speak, the explanation you are rehearsing in your head, the story you want to tell someone tonight, those words are the very thing that will delay everything heaven has been arranging for you. This is not a casual reminder. This is a divine command that landed in your spirit the moment you found this message. God said, "Close your mouth, do not say a word, not to your closest friend, not to the person you trust the most, not even to the one who asks with a gentle voice and caring eyes. The reason you are here right now is not random. A force far greater than anything on this earth redirected your attention to this exact moment, because what I am about to reveal will explain why your silence right now is not weakness. It is the most sacred act of obedience you have ever been asked to carry. And if you stay until the end, you will understand exactly why God is burning with protective fury over your next season. Stay with me through every word of this message, because before this is over, I am going to show you 3 things that will permanently change how you understand the season you are walking through right now. First, you will understand why God's anger is not what you think it is, and why his fury is actually the greatest sign of his protection you have ever received. Second, I am going to hand you a specific framework, a tool with a name you will never forget, that shows you exactly who to speak to, who to keep distance from, and how to guard what is growing inside you without losing the people you love. And third, before this message ends, I am going to speak a declaration over your life so specific and so anchored in divine authority that I believe it will seal this season of silence with a power that stays with you long after you leave this space. All of this was meant for you, so stay. Let me start here. A seed does not announce to the soil what it is becoming. It does not send a message to the sun saying, "Look at me, I am about to be a tree." It does not explain its purpose to the rocks sitting next to it in the darkness. A seed grows in silence. It pushes its roots downward where no one can see, where no one can interfere, where no one can offer an opinion about which direction it should grow. And right now, chosen one, you are that seed. God has planted something inside you that is so precious, so specific to your calling, that he refuses to let it be exposed to the open air before it is strong enough to stand on its own. And this is where most people completely misunderstand what is happening right now. When you hear that God is furious, your first instinct is fear. You think, "What did I do wrong?" You think, "Maybe I missed a step somewhere. Maybe I failed. Maybe I sinned. Maybe I wandered too far." And so you brace yourself for punishment, because that is what the world taught you anger looks like. But that is not what is happening here, not even close. God is not angry at you. He is angry at every hand that is reaching for what he planted inside you before it has had time to take root. He is angry at every conversation that is quietly designed to pull your attention away from what he is building behind the scenes. He is angry at every well-meaning friend, every concerned family member, every caring voice that asks you to explain what you are going through before you even have the language to describe it. Not because those people are evil, but because what God is forming in you right now is not ready for outside air. And even the gentlest touch from an unauthorized hand can damage what has not yet hardened. His fury is not punishment, it is patrol. He is walking the perimeter of your life right now with the intensity of a father who sees his child standing too close to the edge of something dangerous, and he is saying, "Do not open that gate. Do not let anyone in. Not yet. Not until I tell you it is time." Now, I want to show you something that will change how you understand God's protective anger forever. In the original Hebrew, the word used when Scripture describes God's burning anger is the word kara. And kara does not mean what most people assume it means. It does not mean rage. It does not mean destruction. It does not mean the kind of anger that tears things apart. The root of chara means to burn, to glow with intense heat. And it is the same word used to describe the heat of a refining fire. Not the kind of fire that destroys a building, the kind of fire that purifies gold, the kind that burns away everything that does not belong, every impurity, every weakness, every foreign substance, so that what remains when the fire is finished is pure and unbreakable and more valuable than it was before the flames ever touched it. So, when God burns with kara over your life right now, He is not tearing anything down. He is refining the space around you. He is using His fire to burn away every access point, every open door, every casual conversation, every careless connection that could allow the wrong eyes to see what is still forming inside you. His fire is not aimed at your heart. His fire is aimed at anything that tries to get close to your heart before the appointed time. And I hear the Father saying something right now over your life. Listen to this carefully. I am not angry at your weakness. I am not angry at your doubts. I am not angry at the nights you lay awake, questioning whether I was still working on your behalf. I am angry at every voice that pressured you to speak before I gave you permission. I am angry at every force that tried to rush what I carefully and deliberately planted in the soil of your silence. I am angry at every hand that reached for the door I specifically closed. My fury is the wall I built around your becoming, and no one, nothing, no force in heaven or on earth passes through that wall until I say, it is time. Let that land. God's fury is not against you, chosen one. It never was. It is the fire that surrounds you, the heat that keeps the wrong things from getting too close, while the right things quietly take shape in the dark soil of your silence. You are not being punished for being quiet. You are being protected. Because what is growing inside your silence right now is so valuable, so central to the next chapter of your life, that God Himself stood up from His throne to guard it. If something inside you just shifted, if something in your spirit just exhaled for the first time in weeks, type, "I hear you, God," in the comments below. Seal this first truth over your life before we go any deeper, because what I have shared so far is only the surface. There is a second truth hidden inside this command, to be silent, and this truth is going to change how you understand every quiet season you have ever walked through. Most people think silence means doing nothing. Most people think holding your tongue is a passive act, that you are just waiting, just surviving, just enduring until the season changes. But what God actually means when He commands you to be silent is something so radically different from what the world has taught you that when you hear it, you will never look at your quiet moments the same way again. That truth is coming next, and it begins with a single ancient word that will rewrite everything you thought you knew about what silence really is. Now, let me show you the second truth, and this is the one that will make you grateful for every single word you never said. The world taught you that silence is empty, that when you close your mouth, nothing happens. That silence is just the absence of sound, the absence of action, the absence of progress. That you are simply sitting still while life moves forward without you. And because you believed that, you have spent your entire life feeling guilty every time God asked you to hold your words. You thought you were doing nothing. You thought the silence was wasted time. You thought everyone around you was building while you were just standing still. But that was a lie. And what I am about to show you will prove it. Your silence was never empty. Not for 1 second. And once you understand what silence actually means in the language God speaks, this entire season will snap into focus so clearly that you will wonder how you ever missed it. In the original Hebrew, the word for silence is charash, and charash does not mean to stop, it does not mean to shut down, it does not mean to become idle and wait for something to happen to you. The root of charash carries two meanings, and both of them are going to hit you right where you are standing. The first meaning of charash is to plow. Like a farmer who walks behind an ox and drives a blade deep into the earth, turning the soil, breaking the hard ground, preparing it for seed. It is hard work. It is invisible work. No one watches the farmer plow. No one applauds when the field is turned. But without the plowing, nothing grows. Nothing. And the second meaning of charash is to engrave. Like a master craftsman who takes a chisel to stone and carves letters so deep into the surface that wind cannot wear them away, rain cannot wash them out, and time cannot fade them. Permanent, irreversible, unshakable. Do you hear what God has been doing inside your silence this entire time? He has not been making you wait. He has been plowing. Every quiet morning, every unanswered prayer that forced you to trust without evidence. Every night you lay in the dark with words burning in your chest that you chose not to release. That was the blade turning the soil of your future. And at the same time, he was engraving, carving your new identity into the deepest part of your spirit, letter by letter, line by line, so deep that no betrayal, no rejection, no season of misunderstanding could ever scratch the surface of who he is making you. Your silence is not a pause, chosen one. It is the most productive season of your entire life. You just cannot see the harvest yet because all of the work is happening underground. And if you need proof that this is exactly how God operates, look at Joseph. Look at the man who received one of the most extraordinary promises ever spoken over a human life, and then watched that promise get buried under years of silence, years of suffering, years of being completely and utterly misunderstood. Joseph was 17 years old when God gave him the dream. He saw his brothers bowing before him. He saw the sun and the moon and 11 stars aligning in his favor. The promise was clear. The calling was undeniable. And what happened next is one of the most painful chapters in all of sacred history. His own brothers, the people who shared his blood, threw him into a pit. They stripped the coat from his back. They sold him like livestock to merchants heading south toward Egypt. He was bought by a powerful man named Potiphar. He served faithfully. He excelled. And then he was falsely accused by a woman who wanted something he refused to give. He was thrown into a prison cell with no trial, no defense, no one to speak on his behalf. And for 2 full years, after he helped someone in that prison, the man who promised to remember him forgot his name entirely. And here is what makes Joseph's story the single most important lesson for where you are right now in your life. He did not speak when they threw him in the found pit. He did not defend himself when they tore the coat from his shoulders. He did not explain himself when they sold him to strangers on a dusty road. He did not cry out for justice when a woman lied about his character. He did not demand an audience with the king when the one person who could have freed him erased him from memory. Joseph was silent for years, not because he was weak, not because he had nothing to say, not because he lacked the intelligence or the words or the evidence to make his case. He was silent because God was plowing. God was engraving. God was doing the deepest, most permanent work of Joseph's entire life in the quietest, most invisible room he had ever occupied. And when Pharaoh finally called his name, Joseph did not walk out of that prison as a victim who needed the world to feel sorry for him. He did not stumble into the throne room begging for mercy. He walked out as a ruler who needed no introduction, no explanation, no defense. His silence had not been wasted time. His silence had been construction time. And by the time he opened his mouth, his words carried the weight of a man who had been built in secret by the hands of God himself. That is your story right now. You may not see it yet. But the silence you are walking through is not a delay, it is construction. And every word you hold back is another brick in the foundation of what God is about to reveal. Before I continue, gently press the like button. Not for me. So, this message reaches another chosen one who might be one conversation away from undoing everything God has been building in their silence for months. Someone out there tonight is about to pick up the phone and break the seal. Your simple action might be the reason this truth finds them before they make that call. Now, I want to give you something practical, something you can carry with you starting tonight. I call it the Sacred Silence Framework, and it is built on 3 circles that will protect everything God is constructing inside your life right now. The first circle is the innermost circle. This circle belongs to you and God alone, and no one else enters, not your spouse, not your mother, not your best friend, not the person who has been by your side for 20 years. This is where your dreams live. This is where your prayers land. This is where the blueprints of your next season are being quietly drawn by the hand of God. Nothing that happens inside this first circle gets shared with any human being until God himself opens the door. It is sacred ground, and it is closed. The second circle is your inner ring. This is a maximum of 2, maybe 3 people. But listen carefully, because this is where most chosen ones make their mistake. These people do not get access during the building phase, they get access after. After the breakthrough has manifested, after the door has opened, after the result is visible and undeniable. You share outcomes with your second circle, not process. You share testimony, not strategy. You tell them what God did, not what God is doing. And even then, you share with wisdom, not excitement. The third circle is everyone else, the world, co-workers, extended family, acquaintances, people who follow your life from a comfortable distance. This circle only ever sees the finished product. They see the tree standing tall. They never see the season it spent, buried in the dirt. They see the promotion. They never see the prison. And this is not deception, chosen one. This is divine order. Not everything that is true is meant to be public. Not everything that is real is meant to be shared. Some things are so sacred that they can only survive in the silence between you and God. If something just clicked in how you understand your season right now, type, "I see it," in the comments. Let that truth take root. Now, if I stopped right here, what I have already shared would be enough to change how you navigate the rest of this season. You now know that God's fury is protection, not punishment. You know that your silence is not empty, it is plowing and engraving. You have Joseph as living proof that the quietest seasons produce the most powerful outcomes history has ever witnessed. And you have the sacred silence framework to guard what is forming inside you from the wrong eyes at the wrong time. That would be enough. For most people, that would be more than enough. But there is a third truth, and this one goes deeper than anything I have shared so far. God buries the seed deeper when he sees the storm coming. The depth of your silence right now, the intensity of this season, the weight of the words you are carrying, that is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is a sign that what is coming toward you is so massive, so significant, so life-altering, that God is pushing your roots down further than he has ever pushed them, to make absolutely sure you can hold the weight of what he is about to place on your shoulders. And there is something else I have not told you yet. something I have been holding back because you needed the foundation first. There is a consequence, a real and measurable consequence, that happens when a chosen one breaks their silence before the appointed time. It is not just spiritual. It reaches into your mind. It reaches into your relationships. It touches your finances, your clarity, your peace, your momentum. And when you understand what that consequence actually looks like, you will guard your mouth with a fierceness that no human opinion can shake. Remember the seed I mentioned at the beginning of this message, the one that does not announce to the soil what it is becoming. Let me show you what actually happens underground when a seed pushes toward the surface too soon, when it reaches for the light before its roots are deep enough to hold it. That revelation is next. And I promise you, it will change everything. When a seed pushes through the surface too soon, before its roots have gone deep enough into the soil, something terrible happens. The first strong wind does not bend it. It uproots it completely. Because the thing that holds a tree upright during a storm is never the trunk. It is never the branches. It is never the height. It is always, always, always the roots. And roots only grow in one condition: darkness, silence. Below the surface where no one can see and no one can interfere. And this is the consequence I need you to understand before you open your mouth one more time. When a chosen one breaks their silence before the appointed time, three things happen. And these are not spiritual theories. These are patterns that have repeated themselves across generations, across continents, across every man and woman who received a divine promise and then shared it with the wrong person at the wrong moment. The first consequence is spiritual exposure. The moment you speak about what God is building inside you, you open a window into a room that was supposed to be sealed, and it does not matter how much you trust the person sitting across from you. It does not matter how long you have known them or how loyal they have been. The problem is not their character. The problem is that what God is forming in you carries a frequency that the wrong environment cannot handle. When you speak your calling into a room that is not prepared to hold it, the words lose their weight. They become information instead of revelation. They become gossip instead of prophecy. And the sacred thing that was growing in the dark, protected and untouched, is suddenly exposed to opinions, expectations, projections, and judgments that it was never designed to carry this early. The second consequence is something that researchers have actually studied and measured. When a person shares a goal or a vision before it has materialized, something shifts inside their brain. The act of speaking it out loud, of receiving the nod, the encouragement, the congratulations, that act tricks the mind into believing the work is already done. The brain registers the social approval as completion, and so the internal drive, the hunger, the fire that was pushing you toward the thing, it dims, not because you lost faith, but because your mind confused announcement with achievement. You told the world you were building something, and your brain said, well, we already feel the reward of building it, so why push so hard? This is not weakness. This is how the human mind operates. And God, who designed that mind, knows exactly why He told you to keep your mouth shut. The third consequence is relational. And this one is the most painful, because it involves the people you love. When you tell someone what God is doing in your life, that person, whether they realize it or not, becomes an unconscious auditor of your progress. Every time you see them, their eyes ask the question, even if their mouth does not. So how is that thing going? Did it happen yet? Are you sure you heard God correctly? And the weight of their silent evaluation begins to press down on something that should have been allowed to grow without pressure, without a deadline, without an audience. Your calling was never meant to be performed. It was meant to be lived, and living requires the freedom that only silence can provide. This is exactly what David understood. David, the shepherd boy who was anointed king by the prophet Samuel while he was still a teenager, oil poured over his head, the calling declared, the future sealed. And then David went right back to tending sheep. He did not march into King Saul's palace and announce that a new king had been chosen. He did not gather the elders and present his anointing as evidence. He did not even tell his own father the full weight of what had just happened. He returned to the field. He returned to the silence. And for years, years of being overlooked, years of being dismissed, years of being hunted and misunderstood and sleeping in caves, David held his tongue. He let God be his defense. He let time be his witness. And when the throne finally came to him, he did not have to explain it to anyone. The silence had done its work. The waiting had been the making. And this is where I need to speak directly to something that is sitting heavy on your chest right now, chosen one. Because I know what the real enemy of your silence is. And it is not the people around you. It is not the devil. It is not even the circumstances pressing against your life. The real enemy of your silence is the part of you that still believes you owe people an explanation for your transformation. You feel guilty. I know you do. You feel guilty for pulling away from people who used to have full access to your life. You feel guilty for not answering every call the way you used to. You feel guilty for protecting your energy when someone you love needs you to show up the way you always did before. You feel guilty for growing when the people around you have not changed. You feel guilty for choosing silence when everyone is demanding noise. And that guilt sits heavy. It makes you question yourself. It whispers, maybe you are being selfish. Maybe you are being cold. Maybe you are being ungrateful for the people who have been there for you all along. But I need you to hear something right now that is going to lift a weight off your shoulders that you have been carrying for far too long. You are allowed to grow without announcing it. You are allowed to change without defending it. You are allowed to be silent without explaining it. You are allowed to protect what God is building inside you, even if it costs you the comfort of people who are not ready to understand. You are allowed to create distance without cruelty, and you do not owe anyone a commentary on your becoming. Boundaries are not betrayal. Distance is not rejection, and silence is not cruelty. These are the sacred walls of a life that is under construction, and construction sites are closed to the public for a reason. Not because the building is ashamed of itself, but because it is not finished yet, and unfinished things are fragile. They need protection more than they need applause. If your spirit is confirming this right now, if something deep inside you just exhaled, type "I receive" in the comments. Let this truth settle into the foundation of who you are becoming. And I hear God saying something over your life at this very moment. Listen to this carefully. Close your mouth, my child. What I am building inside you cannot survive exposure. Not because it is fragile, but because it is sacred. And sacred things grow in silence. I did not bring you through the fire so that careless words could scatter what I spent years assembling. I did not isolate you to punish you. I isolated you to protect the blueprint. And the blueprint is almost complete, but I need your mouth closed for the final phase. Not because I do not trust you, but because what I am about to do through you will require a foundation that was built without the interference of human opinion. Trust my timing, guard your words, and watch what I do with your obedience. If you just felt the weight of that word, if something inside you just surrendered the guilt you have been carrying about being distant, about being quiet, about being unavailable, type "I release" in the comments right now. Release the guilt of growing in silence. You do not need it anymore. Now listen. The seed in silence grows roots so deep that no wind can ever uproot it. And you have been growing roots in this season that go deeper than you realize, deeper than anything you have ever built before, deeper than any relationship you have protected or any dream you have chased. What is happening underground right now in your life is the most important construction project God has ever assigned to you. And there is something fascinating that connects everything I have just shared to something measurable, something that science has actually begun to document. Researchers studying the brain in states of prolonged silence have discovered that when the mind is not producing noise, when it is not defending, not explaining, not rehearsing conversations, it enters a very specific neurological state, a frequency, a brainwave pattern that scientists at MIT and Princeton and several other leading research universities have associated with heightened intuition, creative genius, sudden clarity, and what some have called eureka moments, those flashes of insight that seem to come from nowhere. It is called the gamma frequency, and it is the same frequency that children operate in naturally before the noise of the modern world begins to suppress it. The connection between spiritual silence and this particular brain state is something I want to come back to in just a moment, because what I discovered about this changed everything for me, and I believe it is meant to change everything for you too. But first, I need you to stay with me, because before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life that I believe will stay with you long after you leave this space. There is a declaration coming, a sacred activation that I have been preparing specifically for those who are walking through a season of silence right now. And it is not a regular prayer. It is not words you have heard before. It is something that I believe was placed on my heart for you, for this moment, for this exact night. Do not leave before we get there. What is waiting for you at the end of this message is the reason this entire encounter was arranged. What felt like isolation was actually incubation. What felt like being ignored was actually being hidden. What felt like losing your voice was actually God tuning your frequency to something higher than human conversation could ever reach. What felt like punishment was actually positioning, and what felt like the longest season of your life was actually the deepest investment God has ever made in your future. Now, let me show you the deepest truth of all, the one that ties every single thing together, the one that will permanently change how you carry yourself through the rest of this season and every season that follows. Your silence is not just obedience. It is not just protection. It is not just preparation. Your silence is the literal key that unlocks the door God has been building behind the scenes of your life for longer than you know. Let me say that again so it lands where it needs to land. Every day, your mouth stays closed, another lock turns. Every explanation you refuse to give, another wall rises around what is sacred. Every defense you swallow, every story you hold back, every midnight conversation you choose to have only with God and no one else. Those acts of silence are turning the mechanism of a door that you cannot see yet, but that God has been constructing with his own hands since the moment he called you. And when the last lock turns, when the silence has done its complete and total work, the door will not need you to push it open. You will not need to force it. You will not need to explain your way through it. You will not need to prove to anyone that you deserve to walk through it. It will simply open on its own, at the appointed time, in front of the appointed people. And every single person who questioned your silence, who doubted your distance, who misread your stillness as weakness, they will see the answer standing right in front of them, without you ever having to say a single word. This is who you are, chosen one. And I need you to hear this clearly, because this is the identity that has been forming in your silence this entire time. carved letter by letter into the deepest part of your spirit by the hand of God Himself. You are the one who fights not with volume, but with silence. You carry a stillness that terrifies the noise. You hold ground when everyone else crumbles under the pressure to explain, to defend, to react. You are the spiritual warrior whose greatest weapon is a closed mouth and an open heaven, and that is who you are. You are the one who carries truth so heavy that premature words would crush the messenger. Not because the truth is too much for you, but because the truth you carry is meant to be delivered at a specific time, in a specific way, to a specific audience that is not yet assembled. You are the truth carrier who protects the message by protecting the silence, and that is who you were always meant to be. You are the one who sees what others cannot. You perceive shifts before they happen. You sense danger before it arrives. You read rooms that other people walk through blindly, and you hold what you see inside yourself, not because you are afraid to speak, but because you understand that not every revelation is meant for every ear. You are the seer whose silence is not emptiness, but wisdom, and that is what your silence has been building this entire time. Now I want to come back to something I mentioned earlier, the connection between your silence and what is happening inside your brain. Because this is where the spiritual truth and the science come together in a way that I believe was meant to reach you tonight. When you were a child, your mind operated differently than it does now. You learned faster. You absorbed information like water into soil. Your imagination was vivid, your intuition was sharp, and your creativity flowed without effort. Ideas came to you naturally. Solutions appeared before you even fully understood the problem. There was a lightness to how your brain worked, a speed, a clarity that made the world feel like it was built for you. And then, somewhere along the way, that changed. The world got louder. The education system, the pressure to conform, the constant noise of modern life, all of it began to suppress something inside your brain that was always meant to stay active. Scientists call this phenomenon the decline effect, and what it describes is the gradual suppression of a specific brainwave, the gamma wave, that every human being is born with, but that the modern world slowly turns down, starting around the age of 7. This matters to you right now more than you realize. Because the gamma wave is the frequency your brain needs to access its highest state of performance. It is the wave associated with genius-level clarity, with deep intuition, with the kind of sudden spiritual insight that makes you feel like the heavens just opened and poured understanding directly into your mind. And for you, the chosen one, that wave was stronger than average when you were born. That is why you always felt different. That is why you sensed things other people missed. That is why your mind was sharp and your spirit was sensitive in ways that no one around you could explain. You were wired with a frequency that most people never fully access, but the noise of the world dimmed it. And the silence God has been commanding you to walk in, this season of holding your words, of pulling back from the noise, of refusing to engage in conversations that drain your spirit. This silence is doing something to your brain that you did not even know was possible. It is creating the exact internal environment that allows your gamma frequency to begin reactivating. Your silence is not just obedience. It is neurological restoration. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years of his career studying this exact phenomenon. This is the same researcher behind groundbreaking work in brain frequency restoration, part of a larger body of research that also produced something called the Youthful Brain Protocol. His specific focus was on whether the suppressed gamma wave could be reactivated, not through years of meditation, not through expensive biofeedback equipment that costs $7,000, not through anything that requires enormous effort or discipline, but through a precise audio technology called brain entrainment that works directly with the brain's natural frequency response. And what he created was something remarkable. A 7-minute audio track that uses targeted brain entrainment to guide the brain back into its natural gamma state. 7 minutes. That is all. You put on headphones, you sit quietly, and the technology does the work that your brain has been unable to do on its own because the world turned the volume down on your God-given frequency decades ago. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, I have tried things before. I have tried meditation. I have tried sound healing. I have tried apps and programs and retreats, and nothing created a lasting shift. And I want you to know that I understand that frustration because it is completely valid. But here is why this is different. Everything you tried before asked your brain to change itself from the inside out. That is slow. That is uncertain. That is like asking a radio stuck on static to tune itself to the right station without anyone touching the dial. Brain entrainment works from the outside in. It sends the exact frequency into your ears that your brain needs to match, and the brain, because this is how it was designed, naturally synchronizes to it. It is measurable. It has been tested in laboratories. And 18,366 people have already experienced what happens when the gamma wave comes back online. I would never disrespect your financial situation by being casual about what anything costs. For many of you, $39 is a decision that requires thought, and I honor that. So, let me give you the honest comparison. Traditional biofeedback therapy to retrain your brain costs roughly $300 per session, and it takes many sessions. Home biofeedback equipment runs around $7,000. Extended meditation retreats that promise this kind of neurological shift often cost hundreds of dollars and require weeks of your time. What, doctor? Lake Created compresses 34 years of neuroscience research into a single 7-minute audio track. The standard price is $49, but because Dr. Lake's mission has always been about reaching the people who actually need this, not just the people who can afford expensive clinics, he created a special price of $39 that is only available through the link I have placed below. Not on Amazon, not on Spotify, not anywhere else. Just through that specific link. And here is what you receive: the 7-minute audio track itself. A bonus track called Genius Child, designed to support focus and confidence in young minds. A classic book on prosperity and financial mindset that normally sells for $20 on its own. A guided visualization that walks you through 4 areas of your life: finances, love, health, and inner peace. And an infographic outlining the 5 most important daily habits for building the future you were designed for. All of this, the complete restoration package, plus a full 100% money-back guarantee. No questions, no conditions. If you do not feel a difference, you get every penny returned. That is $39. Less than 11 cents a day for an entire year. Less than a single meal that you will forget by tomorrow. For a tool that rewires the frequency your brain was always meant to operate on, every single day that your gamma wave remains dormant is a day your prayers hit a lower ceiling than they were designed to reach. A day your decisions carry less clarity than God intended. A day the intuition He hardwired into you stays muffled by the noise the world pumped into your mind since childhood. This is not pressure. This is awareness. The version of you that exists on the other side of this restoration, the version with activated gamma, with restored intuition, with the kind of mental clarity that your childhood self took for granted. That version is looking back at this very moment as the turning point. The decision does not need to be perfect. It just needs to be made. One important thing I need to tell you. Because this tool has become so well known, there are counterfeit versions being sold on unauthorized websites. These copies do not contain the actual brain entrainment technology. They are just ordinary audio files with no scientific backing and no therapeutic value. The only way to receive the authentic tool with the full technology, all 4 bonuses, and the money-back guarantee is through the link I have placed in the description and the pinned comment below. Do not search for it on Amazon or YouTube or Spotify. Those sources cannot guarantee you the real thing. If your spirit resonates with what I have shared, the link is right there. Only if you feel led. Now let me tell you about a chosen one whose story mirrors yours more closely than you might expect. 9 months ago, a man's entire business collapsed. A partnership he had built over 5 years dissolved overnight. The other party walked away with the client list, the contracts, the reputation. Everything he had poured his life into vanished in a single phone call, and immediately the world demanded answers. His family wanted to know what happened. His friends offered advice he did not ask for. Former colleagues sent messages that felt more like investigations than concern. Everyone wanted him to explain, to defend, to tell his side of the story, and he made a decision that everyone around him called insanity. He went silent. For 90 days, he did not post a single thing online. He did not return the calls that came wrapped in curiosity, disguised as compassion. He did not defend his name when he heard the whispers reaching back to him through mutual friends. He did not explain. He did not justify. He did not perform recovery for an audience. For 90 days, he sat in silence with God and rebuilt his inner world, while the outer world assumed he was finished. And on day 87, a company he had never contacted, a company in a different industry, in a different city, a company that had no logical connection to anything he had ever built, reached out to him directly. They offered him a contract worth 3 times the total value of everything he had lost. He did not find them. They found him. As if his silence had created a signal that only the right opportunity could hear. He proved himself in silence before he ever promoted himself in public. And the testimony that came from his closed mouth carried more authority than any defense he could have spoken during those 90 days of watching his world fall apart. That is the power of what God is asking you to do right now. Your silence is not the end of your story. It is the construction of the most important chapter. What was planted in darkness is now pushing through the surface. And soon, very soon, everyone who questioned why you went quiet is going to see exactly what your silence was building. Take a breath. The hardest part is behind you now. What comes next is the reason this entire message was placed in your path tonight. We have walked through deep waters together tonight. And before I speak over your life, I want you to understand the full weight of what you have received. The first truth freed you from fear. You now know that God's fury is not against you. It is the refining fire that surrounds you, the heat that burns away every unauthorized access to what He is building inside your silence. His anger is protection. His anger is love. And you no longer need to flinch when you hear that God is furious, because you know His fury is the wall He built around your becoming. The second truth gave you purpose inside the silence. You know now that your silence is not empty. It is charash. It is plowing, turning the hard soil of your future so that what God plants can take root so deep that no storm, no betrayal, no season of misunderstanding can ever uproot it. And it is engraving carving your new identity into the bedrock of your spirit, where time cannot fade it and opinion cannot scratch it. And the third truth, the deepest one, showed you the consequence of breaking silence before its time, and the extraordinary power that builds inside a life that obeys the command to be still. Your silence is the key. And every day it turns another lock in a door that God Himself is constructing, a door that will open on its own, at the appointed time, in front of the appointed people, without you ever having to say a word. You are not alone in this. Right now, all across the world, chosen ones are going through this exact same shift. An entire generation is learning to close their mouths and let God fight for them. You are part of something much larger than your individual story. And the silence you are keeping right now is contributing to a collective awakening that this world has not seen before. Now, I want you to do something with me. Right where you are, wherever you are right now, I want you to take one slow, deep breath. Let it fill your chest completely. And as you release it, let every rehearsed explanation, every unspoken defense, every word you have been carrying for weeks, let it all leave your body with that breath. In your mind, I want you to see yourself standing in a room. This room is unlike any room you have ever been in. Its walls are not made of concrete or wood. Every single wall in this room is made of a word you held back. Every brick is an explanation you refused to give to someone who demanded one. Every beam is a defense you swallowed when everything inside you wanted to shout the truth. And the ceiling of this room, look up and see it. The ceiling is the hand of God, resting directly over you, holding the weight of every judgment, every misunderstanding, every cruel assumption that the world tried to pile on top of your silence. This room is not a prison, it is a throne room, and you built it, with every closed mouth, with every swallowed explanation, with every night you chose God's company over human validation. You built this room with your obedience, and now you are sitting in the very center of a space so sacred that the only voice allowed inside it is the voice of the one who told you to be silent in the first place. Feel the weight settle. This is not heaviness. This is authority. This is the gravity of a life that chose silence when the entire world demanded noise. Sit in this. Let it anchor into your bones. Now, I am going to speak over your life. And what I am about to say is not a regular prayer. It is not words I prepared in advance. It is a declaration, an activation, something that I believe was placed on my heart specifically for you, specifically for this moment, specifically for this season of silence you have been walking through. Do not rush through this. Let every word land. Father, I thank you. I thank you for the fury that protected what this chosen one could not protect on their own. I thank you for every door you slammed shut when they were about to walk through it too early. I thank you for every friendship you pulled away when it would have become a window into something that was not ready for outside eyes. And I thank you for the silence. The heavy, aching, misunderstood silence that this chosen one has been carrying as if it were punishment, when the entire time it was the most intimate expression of your protection they have ever received. You see them, Father. You see every word they swallowed. You see the message they drafted at 2 a.m. and then deleted before sending it. You see the conversation they rehearsed in the shower, the one where they finally explained everything and then chose to say nothing. You see the tears that fell in the car where no one could witness them. You see the faithfulness in the small, invisible, unseen moments that the world will never know about. And now, Father, I ask you to begin the release. Release the need to be understood by people who were never assigned to understand this season. Release. Release the need to defend a transformation that was never meant to be explained with words. Release. Release the guilt of growing faster than the people who once walked beside you. Release. Release the weight of being labeled difficult when you were simply being obedient. Release. Release the exhaustion of performing normalcy when everything inside you has already shifted. Release. Release the old version of yourself that needed approval before it could take a single step. Release. Release the fear of what people say about you in rooms you are not in, because those rooms were never part of God's floor plan for your life. Release. Release the lie that your silence makes you cold, that your distance makes you ungrateful, that your boundaries make you selfish. Release. Now, receive this. I activate the warrior inside you, the one who fights in silence. The one who does not react, does not retaliate, does not explain, but stands in the center of the storm with a stillness that shakes the foundations of everything that tried to break you. Rise. I activate the divine connections that have been waiting for you on the other side of this silence. Relationships built not on proximity, but on purpose. People who will understand your language without you having to translate. People who will honor the construction zone of your life instead of demanding a tour before the building is finished. Open those doors, Father. I cover this rising. I cover it from self-sabotage, from the temptation to celebrate too early, from the urge to prove to the world that the silence was worth it. The silence does not need justification. It needs only completion. Protect what is being built from every premature exposure. Guard the seed until the harvest. Shield the blueprint until the building stands on its own. And now hear the declaration. And I hear the Father declaring over your life right now. You were silent, and in your silence, I moved mountains you will never know about. In your silence, I closed doors that would have destroyed you if you had walked through them. In your silence, I redirected enemies who were walking straight toward the thing I planted inside you, and I turned them so far away that they will never find the path back. In your silence, I opened doors that no human hand, no human connection, no human strategy could have ever opened. Your silence was never weakness. It was never punishment. It was never a waste. Your silence was the prayer I answered before you ever spoke it. I am the chosen one who carries fire without burning. I am the chosen one who holds truth without breaking. I am the chosen one whose silence speaks louder than the noise of every room I have ever walked out of. I am ready. I am sealed. I am sent. Do not say that final word yet. Sit in this frequency for a moment longer. Let the weight of who you are settle into your bones. Let the identity that was carved in silence, engraved by the hand of God during the longest and quietest season of your life, let it harden. Let it become permanent. What is being sealed over your life right now is not just a season of silence. It is what some might call a destiny being embraced. The moment your entire path locks into alignment and everything you walked through suddenly makes perfect and complete sense. And it began right here. With your silence, with your obedience, with your refusal to open the door before God turned the final key. It is done, it is sealed, and so it is. Amen. One more thing, and this matters. You are not the same person who pressed play on this message. The version of you who pressed play was still considering speaking, still rehearsing the explanation, still drafting the message in their mind. But the version of you sitting here right now has decided. You have chosen silence, not out of fear, not out of weakness, but out of the deepest, fiercest obedience you have ever offered to the God who has been guarding your life with fury and fire. That decision changed everything. If you have made this decision, if you are sealing your silence right now as a sacred act of trust, type "I am sealed" in the comments. Say it with the authority of someone who knows exactly what their silence is worth. Not a whisper, a declaration. I am sealed. If this message brought clarity to your confusion, if it brought peace to the chaos of wanting to explain yourself, if it brought strength to the part of you that was ready to break your silence tonight, let your like be your amen without words. There are more messages being prepared for your next season, words that are being shaped right now for what you are about to walk into. Stay connected so those words can find you when you need them most. For those who felt drawn to what I shared about the restoration of your brain's natural gamma frequency, the link is in the description and the pinned comment below. Only if you feel led. And one final thing before I release you tonight. If someone came to mind while you were listening to this, someone who has been unusually quiet lately, someone who has been pulling away from the people around them, someone who looks fine when you see them, but something behind their eyes tells you that they are carrying a weight they cannot explain to anyone, someone who has been struggling to put into words what they are going through. Send this to them right now. Text it, email it, however you need to get it to them, because this might be the confirmation they have been silently praying for. This might be the message that finally helps them understand that their isolation is not punishment, it is not rejection, it is not the end. It is the most sacred form of preparation that God offers to those He is about to elevate, and your decision to share this could be the exact moment their silence finally makes sense. Go in peace, chosen one. Your silence is heard, your obedience is honored, and what is coming will need no announcement. The tree that grew in silence will feed generations who never knew the burial. You are not leaving a message. You are leaving a season.